Hi, my name is Veronica, and a couple of weeks ago I was prompted, let's say, to speak about 2012. And typically I don't like speaking about 2012 because it's A, it's trendy, and B, because I don't feel like I'm any kind of authority on 2012. However, it was in the morning that I was hearing the message, you need to speak about 2012 at your next talk. And I wasn't fully awake, and so I would try to go back to sleep and, brush that thought away and say, no, I really don't want to speak about 2012. And it kept coming forward that I would. So here I am, speaking of 2012. And so I want to, again, throw out a disclaimer saying this is not my specialty. I don't know anything about astrology. I don't know what's going on in the stars. And I don't know about what predictions are coming through. I've read maybe a few things over the many years, but I really don't know much in terms of what other people have said about 2012. All I have are what I offer to the table here are the thoughts that come to me. And specifically, I work best with energy, and it's hard for me to sometimes put things into words because energy to me is not so tangible to be able to explain in 3D, but I will try to do that, so bear with me. As we are approaching the shift of 2012, and it is November right now, so we're only talking another month and a half or so, we are really moving into a pattern of extreme contraction as well as expansion. There's a lot happening, similar to when we give birth. As we are coming to, let's say, through that birth canal, there's a lot of contractions and expansion happening in order to make the opening so that the baby can be birthed. What we are trying to birth, so-called, is a new way of being. Many of us have experienced a lot of loss over the past several years, whether it's financial loss or relationships, jobs, or family members. And so in that losing, there's been somewhat of a clearing. Now, that's not to say that those you loved were not right for you and therefore, have been cleared out of your life. This isn't, any kind of God's will trying to, say that you're a better person because you've survived. So don't even go there. But in reality, this contraction shows up as a squeezing away of things that aren't necessary for our own personal evolution. That, again, does not mean anything judgmental, in that statement. So as we are trying to move through our own evolution, through our own process of expansion and contraction, what we're finding is that sense of losing things as well as, gaining things. Some of us are having a hard time trying to understand who we are supposed to be, and what we might be doing. We may have a sense that there's something bigger growing within us or around us, and we don't quite know what our part is. So the first thing I want to speak to around that particular concern is that there's nothing we really have to do. This has been the hardest thing for most people to embrace and take on. For one thing, if you are at all awake, or at all spiritual, at all in tuned, then you will be guided. First of all, just like I was guided to speak to this, you will also be guided, and you don't have to listen. I don't have to be speaking of 2012 right now. Somebody else will do it. It's no big deal. What I see are oftentimes patterns that come in for a whole group of people. And so if, for example, the message is it's time to start, doing a cleanse, then many people will start talking about cleansing. If it's time, for example, to find a new line of work that is fully joyful to us, then many people will be getting that message. And so these are the types of things that we are getting messages for right now. And of course, we don't have to listen, and if we choose to, we are just taking on that job. So again, you don't have to do anything. It will, however, in some way, shape, or form, feel as if you are in alignment with doing what I would call right action. Excuse me. In terms of listening to our higher self, our guides, these impulses, when we start to follow that impulse, we are, in alignment with, let's say, right action. In the second part, in terms of what it is we should be doing, there's often a concern of who me, am I the one that's supposed to be doing something? Yes, you could be, and this is why you're getting the information, but you don't have to take it on as, oh my gosh, I should be blah, 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 whatever that story is, whatever that direction is. You don't have to. And at the same time, there's also a concern of who me, as in, who am I? I'm so small. I'm so just me. There's nothing special about me. Why would I get this information? And the question is why not? You are special. You are divine. You do have a lot of information coming to you and through you, so why not be the one to share that? Again, not a have to, but why not? Sometimes we get impulses or thoughts or urges to move in a direction that may say, let's change our jobs. And we can do that, but one of the things that I am seeing is that we don't have to do anything right now. And I'm really trying to be clear with this, because so many people are feeling as if they need to quickly do something before this big shift happens, say in December. And there's a sense of urgency. Well, the sense of urgency is sort of like when you know your child's going to come, let's say you're adopting, or if you're going to give birth, in a general month, there is that sense of urgency in terms of being prepared. Oh, did we get the room ready? Do I have some diapers? Do I have things that are going to be able to take care of this new being that I'll be entrusted to? Well, the same is true for this, collective experience of, birthing this new way of being, birthing a new earth, birthing a new self, let's say. If we choose to take this call and do something, we can understand that urgency is sort of relative, that we don't have to jump on the bandwagon right now, and we don't have to worry that we're somehow going to miss out. What we can do is to start to align with listening more clearly and allowing more information to come through us. And how that information comes through us is by, saying yes and maybe making little steps in that direction. So that just covers the general idea around what we may be feeling inwardly, what we've been clearing, and also this impulse to sort of move forward from where we are at this point to sort of embrace and welcome 2012. The other piece I want to speak about has to do with what's happening in this frequency field, what it is that we are starting to embrace and move into. And really, it's not about we're suddenly going to have, this apocalypse and the whole world's going to be wiped out or anything, but it really is going to be enough is enough. Enough of lack, enough of fear, enough of concern that we are not enough of living in a world in which patterns are so out of alignment that we have people without, and we have people who are able to get away with things, let's say. And again, this isn't a judgment. It's just simply about what works, what is in the best interest of the whole planet in terms of balance, in terms of harmony. So the tolerance for having things being out of harmony has become very limited, and it's time to make that shift. And inwardly, it's really about embracing who we are, embracing our whole selves, embracing our, sovereign, divine, beautiful, harmonious self. And how we do that is simply by allowing that self that we are to come through. And what that means is we need to stop asking who me, or really, is this going to be okay? Am I okay? Because really the answer is yes, you, and yes, you are going to be okay, and yes, it is time for you to step up and embrace your power, your divinity, your wholeness. The last little bit I want to speak to is what to expect around 2012, because I know that's part of why, so many people are interested, because they're afraid. What's going to happen on that day? What should I prepare for? Honestly, I don't know. And I also see that things are going to get extremely intense. And what I mean by extremely intense could be, similar to you know, what's going on, say, in New York and such with Hurricane Sandy, where there's just this real, you know, experience of change and, you know, chaos and coming together as community and trying to rebuild. What I see is that's a very, very valid possibility for a collective, for an entire globe. And at the same time, it doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, all hell has to break loose and people are going to be looting the streets or anything, but it also can mean that the world as you know it, as you expect it to be when you wake up, is going to be significantly different. So in that picture of it changing, what I offer is to just stay in your own center, to stay in your own knowing that all is well, that things are coming together as the world shifts into a higher state of being, because this is what we've been working for lifetimes, and it is finally, you know, opening up to this place to say, aha. So if you find yourself moving toward the energy of fear, you start to get a little bit concerned, then just find your center, breathe into your heart, and remember who you truly are. And with that, all is well, and thank you.